Unsolved.
JonBenet Ramsey case. The pineapple episode. So first, we're going to look at the first floor house plan. And you can see number 1 is where the ransom note was found. Number 2, the writing pad. 3, the flashlight in the kitchen. And then 4 is the switch. And then 5 is where the pen holder was. And 6 is where the grating was. And now we're going to zoom in and we're going to focus on where the bowl of pineapple and glass with the tea bag inside of it was. Now we're in the breakfast room and we're looking to the left, the west, and there's the window. And then as we spin around, we're going to be almost facing the kitchen. And right here, now we're looking north, directly into the kitchen from the breakfast room. And the one to the left there, that placemat, that is for John Ramsey. And then that one there is for JonBenet. And then over here to the right, the one we're looking at now, that's Patsy's spot. And then we're kind of looking to the right now, towards the living room. And then there's a couple chairs kind of pushed to the side into the corner. Okay, and then we're kind of going back towards the kitchen. And then right there, that's Burke's placemat and setting, the farthest from the kitchen door. So there's John's spot. That's JonBenet's spot. And then that's Patsy's spot. And you can see that the bowl of pineapple is in between Patsy's spot and Burke's spot on the table on the southeast corner, the corner closest to us to the right. Now I created this little illustration here to show you the layout, and this is looking north. And the table is long ways from west to east. And the police determined that the bowl had Patsy's and Burke's fingerprints on it. And the glass had Burke's fingerprints all over it. And here I created this visual mainly to show you is the table is a glass tabletop. And so you can see the floor when you're looking at the table. Okay, first thing I want to point out is that chair slightly to the right in the back, that is facing the other direction, is slightly pushed under that other table back there. So there's only 4 chairs at this breakfast table. Now, 2 things that I want to point out here is the spoon handle is not pointing directly east. It's going a little bit to the south. And then the other thing is, in the glass, you can see the holder, the little piece of paper that holds the tea bag, and you can see one side of it that has maybe some writing on it or something. Now what you can see is the photographer has switched sides of the table. And so the handle is still pointing to the east. He's just on the other side of the table. And you can see the label on the piece of paper that holds the tea bag with the string is now faced the other direction because we're looking from the other direction. And then in the bottom center of the screen, that is the table holder holding up the table because the table is glass, so you can see right through it. Okay, now this one is really clear and you can get a real good idea what the bowl of pineapple looks like inside and the big spoon that's in there. And you can see that there's quite a lot of pineapple in there, and it looks like it's aged some, and it does look like there's either milk or cream in there. And then on the glass, you can see that it looks empty, and there's definitely a tea bag inside of it. And you can see the little string holding the little holder, paper holder thing. And there's a box of Kleenex there. And according to Patsy, it did not belong there on the table. So let's go to the police questioning Patsy, already in progress. Right, I did not feed JonBenet pineapple, so I don't know how it got in her stomach. I don't know where this bowl of pineapple came from. I can't recall putting that there. I can never recall putting a tea bag like that in a cup, so I don't know. I don't know the answer. Okay, now let's question John Ramsey about this. Loose mint? But the fact though, John, is she had pineapple in her intestines, okay? She has that in there. No one has fed her pineapple that we know of. Could someone have fed her pineapple that night, is all I will say. Could someone have done it? I mean, if it's in there, that is a positive. The pineapple is inside of her, so we have to figure out how that pineapple got there. There is one way it could get there. She had to eat it at some point. Are you sure it was pineapple? Yes. No question? No question, no question. So that's always been the big bugaboo. Would you have known it if she had? I wouldn't have known it, but Patsy certainly would have said it. I mean, there was no reason Patsy would have denied it. I mean, it would be very easy if we were trying to hide this. It would be very easy to say, oh, yeah, I got up and fed her pineapple. That explains that. Then put her back to bed. Did JonBenet ever go out on her own to go down there and eat pineapple? I don't recall that she ever did. I don't know. I don't think so. Not that I remember ever at night. She was getting to the point where she used to be not afraid of the dark or anything at all. And then she was growing up a little bit and getting afraid of the dark. And just kind of normal things that people start to think about. But she wouldn't have been. I mean, we were out solidly asleep. We were all tired. Christmas is a big day. It's exhausting. I know she had to be exhausted. Can you see why we have that concern, though? I can see why this question, where did it come from? But I don't think, other than the fact that there is this bowl on the table, which I can't. Patsy needs to look at it to answer that question, but I don't. It's either very significant, if the intruder somehow, well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, JonBenet was a smart, strong little girl, and if she had the opportunity to scream, to kick and fight, she would have done that. No question in my mind. So I don't buy that, An intruder sat her down and fed her pineapple? Well, I think Patsy needs to look at that picture. See if it makes sense to her, that bowl. It didn't to me. If our kids, or if we had prepared food for our kids, we would have given a teaspoon because there is a whole drawer full of them. It would have been a heaping bowl of pineapple. If that bowl were in the refrigerator, covered with saran wrap or something, it's possible that Patsy would remember that. But I have to look at the picture. I can't see any other explanation. It looks strange to me, quite frankly. Returning to Patsy's questioning. I can't tell what that is, whether that's grits or apples or cereal, or I can't tell what that is. And so time passed. Detective Tom Haney. The contents of the bowl, does that appear to be pineapple to you? Patsy. could be, could be. Later, Patsy stated that Safeway is usually where I buy it from. Detective Tom Haney. It is the fresh pineapple that they do all the work for you. Patsy. Correct. And then later during questioning, Detective Trip DeMuth. The whites have told us that they did not serve her pineapple. So, who placed these items here on the table? Well, number one, there's a large serving spoon in the bowl of pineapple. So somebody who probably didn't really care what kind of spoon they used. Number two, there's a tea bag inside the glass. So it's probably somebody that's not familiar with making tea. And number three, there's too much pineapple in the bowl. So the person wasn't really concerned about wasting any pineapple. And number four, the Kleenex box. That was probably there like paper towels to use to wipe your chin or wipe up any spill or anything like that. When did Burke break out the pineapple and tea? Well, if it was done Christmas afternoon, that wouldn't make sense because JonBenet must have eaten something at the Whites' Christmas dinner. So how can it bypass that food in her digestive system? Furthermore, this would be 6 hours or more before her murder. And so how could the food not be digested and farther down her digestive tract? It just seems medically impossible. Now, after the Whites' Christmas dinner, that seems like the most likely. But the problem here is that means that Patsy and John were lying about JonBenet being asleep when they got home and being put to bed. The fact is, some time had to occur between the time JonBenet ate the pineapple and when she was murdered. And so if John is the one that murdered her, why would Patsy lie about JonBenet being asleep when they got home? And vice versa. If Patsy had killed JonBenet, why would John lie about JonBenet being asleep? Now, approximately sometime around midnight, that is quite likely also, because maybe Burke never fell asleep, and then somehow he either got JonBenet up or JonBenet woke up on her own, hungry, and they were downstairs with the pineapple and the glass of tea, and something happened, and then Patsy came down and found JonBenet unconscious, and then she screamed, and then John got up, and the two of them covered up what had happened. Now, before the 911 call, that's possible, but not as likely. But let's say that Burke got up real early, like 4 a.m., because he was excited about the plane trip and a second Christmas. And he went down there to eat breakfast. And so he got the bowl of pineapple out and the glass of tea. And then JonBenet came down. And then there was a problem there. And John or Patsy got up at 5 a.m., went downstairs and discovered JonBenet injured and found out that Burke had done it. Now, the last time frame, sometime after the 911 call, seems impossible. I guess here the victim advocates might have got out the bowl of pineapple, and or Priscilla or Fleet or Barbara or John Fernie placed the pineapple bowl on the table. But the problem here is the glass. Who's going to put the tea bag in the glass? And that Burke's fingerprints were all over that glass. So that just seems impossible. Burke Ramsey's confession. I want the truth, Burke.
You can't handle the truth. It all started because I snuck downstairs. I got hungry and thirsty, so I went into the dining room and got a bowl that was already out. And I got the fresh pineapple from the fridge. I put it in the bowl, and then I got that big spoon, and then I made the tea. I put 1 tea bag in the glass, and I added some warm water, and I drank it. Then JonBenet came downstairs all cranky and hungry and loud, and she picked out a few pieces of pineapple, and she ate them. Then my mom came downstairs and went psycho. "Why are you up? I need to get some sleep. We have to leave tomorrow." Then the next thing that I remember was Dad was downstairs, and he was angrier than I've ever seen. Then I don't know why, I picked up the flashlight and I hit JonBenet in the head with it. She was out, zonked, completely unconscious. My mom and Dad went to her, and I ran out of the room. Much later, my mom called 911. Then my dad told me to get and stay in bed, that the police would be over. And the story that I was to tell anyone was my mom found JonBenet missing and the note, and I never got out of bed. Okay?
Please subscribe. These videos cost me millions of dollars. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and the bowl of pineapple and the glass of tea seems like it proves that there was no intruder, that either John and or Patsy were involved in the cover-up. For example, it doesn't matter if JonBenet ate the pineapple or not, or if it was in her digestive system or not. Burke's fingerprints are on the bowl and they're on the glass, and so it was gotten out sometime. And both Patsy and John are adamant they had nothing to do with getting the bowl and the glass out anytime during Christmas. So one of them is guilty, either of the cover-up or killing JonBenet. I'll see you next weekend.